Hi, I'm Mark Wilson, the Engineering Heretic, and today I would look at developing a gear, but using a CAD system, and how you go about producing a CAD gear, somewhat approximated from a perfect form, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But first of all, let's deal with the actual the theoretical profile of gearing. Okay. Uh, on as you see on the screen there, we have a rack, and let's just have a look at the sketch that created this tooth profile, and we'll talk about how this all works. Right. Now, this particular we're talking metric module 1 here, and the angle, what's called a pressure angle, and this angle going down here is 20 degrees, and likewise the same the other way. The depth from the top of the tooth to the what they call the pitch line, if it was a gear, it'd be the pitch diameter, would be that point there. That would be 1 millimeter exactly. And from that pitch line down to the working depth of the gear is also another 1 millimeter. And then beyond that, there's usually a sort of a clearance underneath the tooth. And normally in metric module 1, this is 0.25. So that's the standard profile for a rack form of a gear in metric module 1. Of course, let's just get out of that particular sketch there, and we'll march that down to and repeat that there. So now I've patterned this across the whole length, and you see that gear form repeated at every 3.1416 dimension down along that rack there, and of course that's our rack form. Now, this could just as easily be in inches, and instead of being 3.1416 millimeters between each tooth, this could be in diametral pitch, which is usually referring to imperial gears. That could be 3.1416 inches between each one, and instead of 1 inch from the top of that tooth there down to the midpoint there, that could be 1 inch, and down to the working depth another 1 inch, and then another 0.25. There is a slight variation with diametral pitch gears. Instead of the 0.25, it's 0.16, but for argument's sake, it's pretty much the same. So it's just the magnitude. Of course, if you multiplied everything there by 25.4, that would be exactly the same thing as imperial gears. That would be diametral pitch 1. This is metric module 1. So everything is a multiple of this particular form here. If I was going to use metric module 2, all those sizes I gave you, the 3.1416 would be doubled by 2. The working depth, the whole depth would be, instead of 2.25, it would be 4.5, and so on and so forth. So that's the theory, and of course you could multiply it by module 1.5, basically anything you wanted, but there's usually pretty much standard modules that we use, and the same thing goes for diametral pitch. So what we want to talk about now is how we go about making that into a gear. Of course, if I make that a gear, I'm going to bend that around. This is going to be an arc over here, and of course, as that bends, these particular faces here, which would normally be parallel, would buckle under the, if I was bending it, and it would produce a radius of some form or other in that area there. And of course, the bottoms also would be arcing over along with the top ones there. Now, there is some formulas you can do. The mathematical formulas will produce this particular shape exactly. But there's also a recognized approximation of this, and we'll talk about that in gearing itself. Okay, so now let's have a look at round gears, or we talk about spur gears. So now that we've looked at the theory of the rack form, let's talk about a gear itself. And on my CAD system, I have a gear. It's a 41 tooth gear. It's metric module 1 using a 20-degree pressure angle. So let's have a close look at this profile. We'll talk about some of the theories about this and how this all works. Just go and look at this front on. And we'll zoom in quite close. Rightio, you can see here I've actually developed something here and made up a gear, but let's talk about some of the issues with gears. This particular curve, as it swings around here, should be something that's called an involute curve. And an involute curve is something, if you wrapped a piece of string around a cylinder, around about that point there, which we call the base circle, which is a little 0.25 of a mil up from here, and you had a radius running around there, you wrapped a piece of string around that, put a pencil in a loop, and then unwrapped that, it would follow an arc, and of course as soon as it left here, it'd be a fairly tight radius, and as it went up, the string would get longer and longer from the arc here and create a thing called an involute curve. And that is basically the perfect shape for a gear, okay? But that's the theory. The practice is a little bit different, and for a number of reasons. Firstly, if that gear was perfect form starting at that point there, and it was engaging with another tooth or even a rack, it would start contact with the next tooth there right at that point there. And of course there'd be a lot of force right at the tip of the tooth. It would likely, because teeth are hard, likely snap off across here. So what you want to do is have this tooth slightly radiused here off the top here. And therefore the tooth would come, this tooth that came in here, would make contact around about a quarter of the way down, and steadily make more contact, in line contact, as it went round down here, and then to be leaving this tooth, because remember, the corresponding tooth is a copy of this, so you'd have the same radius of the tooth on the other side there, and this tooth would leave contact at around about that point there as this tooth progressed around. So that is basically the issue. We want to make contact somewhere down here. Now that begs the question, why the involute curve, and is that curve the correct shape? Because perfection is not what we require here. We want also we have to allow for oil and things like that. We would like to slide up a film of oil, not make contact right at the tip there, and not snap off the tooth. So is there an approximated curve, a standard curve, that would do the job for a milling in a milling machine, and that would come up with an approximation of this without all the trouble of coming up with a mathematical formula of making this? And the answer, of course, is yes, there is. And we're going to have a look at that now. Now, I'm going to look at an article from, this is from Model Engineer, 1971, by a guy, DJ Unwin, and this article's quite, it's one of the sort of more succinct, definitive works on cutting gears and stuff like that. This is also for, he also deals with cutting gears for clocks, but we'll deal with clock gears at another time, which is dealing with what we call transmission gears. And what Unwin has come up with is a way of, this is designed for making gear cutters, not the gears themselves, it's for making cutters. And he's come up with a method for making these series of buttons of different sizes that will cut the right arc in just a straight arced curve that will approximate the involute curve of a gear. And if you look at the article, I'll put the link in the comments so you can access this. There was available for free on the net, but I looked the other day and I couldn't find it for free anymore. So somebody wanted to charge for it, but I'll put the link up to my Google Drive and you can download a copy. Now, there's a couple of tables that Unwin gives, and the first one is for a gear with a pressure angle of 30 degrees. And the pressure angle is, well, we talked about the angle on the rack before. This rack would be a 30 degree, but that's not what we want. We want this particular chart here, which is basically a pressure angle 20, and we're looking at this particular chart here. Now, just to give you an idea of what we're looking for a radius shape that will give us an approximation of the involute curve. And we're looking at a section of two discs together, or close together, and we're picking a section of these arcs out here for the gear shape itself, which is how this chart works. So you see the W there, which is 4 mil. Remember, this chart here works exactly the same for inches as it does for metric module. Okay, well, we're talking module here, but this could just as easily be inches. So, metric module here, the gear I looked at before was a 41 tooth that I had on my CAD system. And so that would be this particular chart here. And normally there's a series of cutters from 1 to 8 that cover the range of teeth. Okay, this particular chart goes down to 9, but in industry, if you want to buy a cutter, they normally start at 12 tooth and go up to basically 135 to rack, which is 135 and higher out to basically a flat gear, which is a rack. Let's look at the 41 tooth, which is this section here, which is cutter number 3. Okay, and we have a pin diameter of 11.97. A pin diameter, and the centers at 12.64, and the feed in from touch for this section here of 3.098, and that will give us the correct cutter. Now, this cutter will work for 135 up to 54 teeth. And of course, as you get down smaller and smaller, you see there's a less and less of a gap until you end up with cutter number 8, which is a 12 and 13. No cutters that I can find commercially go down less than that. This goes down to 9, but in essence, a transmission gear really starts at 12 and goes up from there. So we'll just ignore the bottom one here, although he has got Unwin does have a chart for that as well. But let's look at this particular one here. Now, on my gear, I'll find that. On my gear, I see I have a shape here. Let's have a look at that. I'll go into the sketch that produced that particular shape. There is the original gear. First of all, let's look at the diameter of the gear. Edit. Because we're starting off, it's a 41 tooth gear, we're going to start with a diameter of 43. Now, how I arrived at 43 is the pitch diameter, because it's metric module 1, it's 41, but because the depth of the tooth to the midpoint of the gear is 1 millimeter, we add 2 to that number, which gives us the OD. So we're basically working on the OD there, which is now 43. Okay, so that's the disc we're looking at, 43 diameter, to make a 41 tooth teeth. We'll get out of that. We'll march down to the sketch, edit the sketch that made that. This is the sketch that did, basically where are we? Basically, what I've done is taken Unwin's chart, and I put the pin diameter, effectively reproducing these discs that he talks about with his cutter. That's the cutter there that cuts it on a lathe, and this is their simulation of it on the lathe they're cutting. And I've produced basically this sketch here, okay, and the W is the width there. So let's have a look at our CAD model. Of course, you see here I've made up a sketch. I have the width between the centers here of 12.64. I have the T dimension with the width dimension there, 4 millimeters, and the circles, the discs of the same diameter is 11.97, which is straight off the chart. And then what I've done is I've fed that into the depth here of 2.25, and that's going to do that cutout here. Of course, it sweeps out wider than that. Sometimes these cutters are cut a little bit deeper than normal, so you need to have some scope for going a little bit shallow or deep with your cutter, depending on what you want. So that's how I've come up with that. You see here the root diameter of the thread there. That's of the teeth is 2.25. We're dealing with metric module 1, of course. So add the feed in from Unwin's chart there is the 3.098, which is the feed in there, which is from the 4 there, the intersection, that point there, straight down there. So it's this section of the radius that we're going to deal with. It's going to deliver the correct radius. Okay, so let's have a look at this. We'll get out of that particular sketch. 3D sketch, we'll go back, get out of the sketch, and we'll put that back into 3D. And of course, there's my gash that produces that. You can see that gash there. And now we're going to pattern that 41 times around the radius there, and you'll see the full shape of the gear. So that's our gear there in all its glory. And in Unwin's book there, of course, you can make gears using, I think it was just using silver steel on a mild steel base, and then hardening the buttons, and then making the cutter, and of course the cutter would then make the teeth. And the cutters you buy, the production cutters, are pretty much just the same shape as Unwin's chart there, except you can buy the cutters directly. But of course you can make them yourself. So that's the theory about this. That's the shapes, and we'll talk about clock gears at another date. And I'm Mark Wilson, and thanks for watching.